Let me pull out my questions. First of all, on superior, how was the food? How was the food?
How's the food? I think the audience can answer this.
Audience?
So, audience, how was the food?
Good enough? Nice. Enjoying it so far? Nice. Yes, one energy. Like, yes, who is yes, who is okay, good. Alright. So, shall we?
We should start.
Okay. So, the first question. It's not a question, it's kind of like an experience thing. Can you introduce yourself to our audience and share how you're feeling about being here at ResCon 25?
Yeah, sure. So, hi everyone. First of all, thanks to all of you for joining for this today's conference on a Sunday. I mean, the weather is not very good, but still you managed to this auditorium and seems like everything is going pretty well. So, once again, thanks for joining and let me introduce myself within just a few words. I'm Niloy and I'm a software engineer working remotely and open source and hackathon enthusiast. So if you are passionate about open source and hackathons, then you can definitely contact me to get some help. And I think today we will basically discuss about open source, Google Summer of Code and other events, how you can leverage open source to build your career out of it, and what are the opportunities in remote jobs, how to get the remote jobs, what are the pros and cons of remote jobs, is it like really good thing to do or you should just opt for some other options. So today we will basically discuss about those things, so just buckle up your seatbelts and we can start. Thank you, sir.
So the next question. Many people hear about open source but don't fully understand it. How would you define open source and why it is important?
Okay, I don't know about the audience, but I think most of you have already heard about open source. What exactly is open source? But I will just explain the open source in a short way. Is that open source means the source is open, but which source? The source code of your software. Open source is not only about the coding part. So the documentation, the designs, and other things, those can also be open source. So anything that is related to software or any piece of something which is open, that is called open source. And the benefit of open source is that the collaborators, the contributors can basically work on that particular project, and in that way the project will evolve in a better way because you are getting contributions from a lot of contributors and people are finding bugs in your software, in your code, and the other people will try to fix those bugs or maybe try to just add some new features into the software. So that's the beauty of open source, and open source software, open source project should also have some open source license. You can learn more about open source license and how licensing works in open source. But I think that's about open source. What was the next part of the question?
How is it important?
Okay, so how is it important is that I think most of you have already used some open source software in your daily life. But if you are on Windows, you probably have used VLC Media Player to just play the videos and audios like media. And VLC Media Player and Firefox browser, those are like pretty famous open source softwares. So you have already used them. But why is it important, the open source thing? Because as I already mentioned, it increases the quality of the software because people will find the bugs, they will try to contribute those things. So and also that will add the credibility to the software because it's open and people can see the source code, right? So they can see what exactly is going on behind the scene. If the software is a malicious one or what exactly is going on behind the scenes. So that sort of adds the credibility to the software, and developers also get to know in a better way about the systems and the software. So that's why I feel like open source is pretty good, and people appreciate open source. And yeah, you should basically just try to use more and more open source softwares instead of the closed source ones.
Well, so as a CS student myself, for us, coding is not about solo, right? I code solo. I wake up, I just code. But open source is completely different. You have to work together. So, what do you think is the advice for anyone who has been prepared to work solo, but now has to work in a team, has to put collective efforts and then bring out the best? What do you think? How can someone change their mindset and get into that frame?
Okay, so see, everything is a kind of team game, right? So whatever you do in your life, you have to find your perfect team. You have to find your peers. So in that way, open source will help you to learn more about the whole coding. He mentioned that he is basically a coder who just works in solo projects. But when you join the company, you don't work on solo projects, right? So you have a team, group of developers. So if you just contribute to the open source thing, work in the open source thing, then eventually you need to collaborate with other developers, and the other developers will help you to write better code. Suppose you just added some code to the software, you try to contribute something, but now you have the maintainers who are probably more knowledgeable than you. So they will show you how the piece of code that you have already written can be optimized in a better way. So in that way, it will help you to become a better developer, and yeah, I mean, eventually it will just help you to be a better collaborator, to just collaborate with other team members in a better way. So I think that answers the question.
So, Sara, GSoC is a big dream for many developers as we know. So, can you please briefly explain what GSoC is and how it works?
Okay, so if you already know about open source and those things, there are multiple open source events in the world, and Google Summer of Code GSoC is organized by Google every year. This event is only for the developers, the coding projects. It's not about documentation or UI UX thing. There can be some projects related to fixing some UI bugs, but once again, it's the primary focus of GSoC is mainly on coding. So if you are a developer and if you are trying to contribute to the open source, GSoC is sort of the Olympics of open source. But nowadays it lost its charm because it just became a rat race. What I feel. Because people are just bringing on different courses on how to crack GSoC and those things. But if you are a good open source enthusiast, you should definitely check out GSoC. GSoC is like there are multiple organizations, and in each organization there are multiple projects, open source projects where you can contribute to. And if you contribute to those projects, as I already mentioned, it will help you to become a better developer. That's completely correct. And there are also some stipend involved, so you can just take it in some sort of like internship. But it's exactly not internship, it's like mentorship, where you will get the mentor assigned to you for the project. You will get the complete mentorship under the guidance of the mentor. So, those 3 months, 6 months, you can just learn from the mentors, the project, from the organization admins, and also get some money. And while you are a student, you can just take it like an internship. And yeah, and if you are really passionate about open source, then GSoC is like shouldn't be your ultimate goal. You should focus on some good open source contributions, which will eventually lead you to GSoC. But if you don't get into GSoC, don't get deserted like, oh, what will happen with me now? What will I do in my career if I don't get into GSoC? But if you show some good open source contributions in your resume, that's also fine. But yeah, if you are trying for GSoC, that will help you to learn some new things, maybe learn some new tech stack and how to write a good proposal. Your writing skills will also get improved, and yeah, just overall like communicating with different people from the globe. So that's why I feel like GSoC is a good thing. But once again, your focus shouldn't be on the like money part and GSoC tag, those things. Your focus should be on like good open source contributions. And if you get into GSoC, that's well and good. That's definitely a good plus point for you. So yeah, that's about Google Summer of Code.
And now, I think we got to this whole GSoC, right? But suppose if I'm a first year or second year student, what should be my proper roadmap? Or like where to start, how to move on, how to get the opportunity, how to crack the code, and how to be where you are today?
So what I feel like there shouldn't be like an exact roadmap for something. People will have their own, journey, own path to get into different things. But first year you should, if you're in your first year, you should try to explore more and more things. Try to find your interest, try to find your niche, the domain that you are interested in, and that the domain that you want to pursue in your future career, like probably web development or Android development or machine learning, those things. And when you are in your second year, you can focus on your, also focus on your DSA, don't skip it. So DSA is also an important part. So while you are building projects, doing cool things, doing hackathons, just focus on the, just minimum level of DSA that is required for the industry and that is required for building the projects. And when you are in your second year, you can I think you have already found your niche, the domain that you are interested in, like web development. So you can just try to build some good projects in that particular domain, like build some good projects in web development if you are really interested in web development or machine learning. And from third year, you can try to focus on internships, try to apply for some internships and get some industrial exposure and work with senior people to get some more idea about the work, how things actually work in the production. And that internship will help you in your final year to get the job. So if you have like good internship experience, good projects in your resume, and good open source contributions, those things will eventually lead you to a good job. And yeah, basically that's it. That's 4 years for your engineering. And while you are grinding for all of those things, don't forget to enjoy your college life. Don't skip the fest. Don't skip the, just hanging out with friends. So that's kind of sort of roadmap you can follow. But once again, as I said, don't blindly follow any of the available roadmaps in the internet. Don't blindly follow any of the YouTubers or any influencers. Try to find your, just interest and work on your domain more and more, build some projects. And the path is different for different people. So that should be the correct way.
And coming to that, GSoC as well. Has GSoC somehow became the staple mark of open source?
It's not like that, but as I said, it's kind of, it had its own charm before like 5 years or 5 years. But as I said, right now there are like multiple courses in the market how to crack GSoC, and it's becoming like a rat race. So people are just focusing on GSoC to get the tag and get the money. So you shouldn't do that, as I said. And but as I said, also GSoC is a very good, just achievement that you can put in your resume. So if you just go for GSoC, you will learn so many new things that will help in your career.
Are there any alternatives to GSoC?
Obviously, yeah. As I said, GSoC is organized by Google, as I said, and it's mainly for developers. But if you are not a developer, then what's the open source events that you can participate in. So there are different open source events like GSoC, Google Season of Docs, organized by Google, that's specifically for technical writers. So if you are into technical writing, you love to work on documentation for different projects. Documentation is a very important part, Just if you want to learn some new tech stack or any particular new thing, you go to the documentation of that particular thing. Like if you want to learn Flutter, then you go to the flutter.dev and you see the documentation, how to set up your environment to your local machine, and how to build some widgets like that. So documentation is also a very important part of a software, and Google organizes Google Season of Docs. You can participate in the Google Season of Docs, and there are also other open source events. Like there was also something related to the blockchain, I think. One of my friends participated in that, but you can search about that. But other events like LFX mentorship, it's also like paid things. You will get the stipend for your work, but again, money shouldn't be your first priority. Learning should be your first priority, and you can just search on the internet. There are other open source events as well, and these are like paid open source event. You will get paid for your work, but there are also beginner friendly open source event. Like I think we have organized some open source event recently, so you can participate on those open source events first if you are a beginner, and then when you have enough knowledge, enough capabilities to just work on some harder projects, then you can go for the LFX mentorship, GSoC, GSoD, those sort of events.
So you have been a part of open source and GSoC, which are mostly remote. So what do you think are the biggest advantages and disadvantages of remote jobs?
Okay, this is a very interesting topic, and I was very eager to share my thoughts about remote jobs because there are a lot of things going on the market right now related to remote jobs. People are basically launching their courses how to get a remote job, join my cohort to get a remote job, this sort of thing. But anyway, so I have been doing remote jobs for the past few years, and I will basically share my thoughts, what I have seen in Mecca, and probably based on that, based on my experience or the points that I will mention, you can select if remote job is really for you or not. So there are some pros and cons obviously for different things. Sorry, what exactly was your question? Can you just repeat? You asked
what are the biggest advantages and disadvantages?
Okay, got it. So the first thing which everyone thinks is that if you do a remote job, you will earn a lot of money, which is true, kind of. So if you work for a US-based or Euro-based company, if you earn in dollars or euros, then obviously the currency value is high, and due to that, if you earn in USD and euros, and if you convert it to INR, then you earn a lot of money compared to the Indian companies that they are providing the salary. So you will get a lot of money, and if you are doing remote job and if you are staying in your home, then you will end up saving a lot because you don't have any major expenses. Maybe you can help your parents or help give some money to your parents or try to help them for the groceries and those things. But if you are just doing it in your home, then you will end up saving a lot because you don't need to pay your rents. You don't need to just pay for the transportation to go to the office and those things. And yeah, I mean, some companies are pretty flexible about the timings. So most of the companies are like you can just work anytime in your day and try to attend the meetings with your teammates. That's it. So you get the flexibility to move to different places. So you can probably just do some work while traveling. So you can go to multiple places. Just bring your laptop with you, and the Wi-Fi and laptop is the only thing that you need to do the remote job. And you can go to multiple places, do some workation sort of thing. Vacation plus work is like workation. So you can go to a hill station, you can work there for 1 month, and then you can probably move to Kerala and you can work there for 1 month, stay there. So those are like the advantages, I would say. And after hearing the advantages, you are already like, oh, I want the remote job, right? So I also want the money, I also want the freedom to explore places, and but the other side is also not very shiny. So there are also some cons about remote jobs. And first thing is definitely about your mental health and all, because if you are just staying in your home, and if you are from a small city, and if you don't have any of your school friends in your city, then you are basically just stuck in your room, and you don't have any people to just roam around and hang around. So it's a bit difficult for you regarding the mental health. Just be in your room and just work. That's it. But once again, if you are from a good city, and if you have your friends in your city, you can just chill with them in the weekends or when you are not working. So in that case, remote job is good. And other bad things are like sometimes you don't have the fine line between the work and your personal life. So in remote job, the issue is that, as I mentioned, there's no fixed timing, right? So sometimes you have to work in the late at the late night because of the US hours, or just a little bit late because of the Europe hours. So you will end up like just not maintaining a proper schedule of your daily life. So suppose because there is no fixed timings, you will think that okay, I will do it at this particular time, but then you will think like, oh, I will probably just do it at the night. So you will end up just mixing your work and your personal life a lot. So there's no fine line between the your personal life and your work life. But in terms of in person, if you're going to the office, then you have a proper like fixed schedule. Like you have to go to the office, work from 11 to 5 or 11 to 8, 7, whatever, and then you will come back from your office. You are in your home, you can just watch some Netflix and go to the gym or something. That's sort of like a particular schedule you are following. But in remote job, it's kind of hard to follow a particular schedule because of the flexibility that you get. And other bad things are, I mean, yeah, obviously, and sometimes, I think those are not mostly the disadvantages. So think thoroughly before choosing the remote job and the in-person job, and if those points are really important for you, like the money and the freedom that you want to roam places, and if you want to be with your parents, or if you have enough people with you in your city, then you can do the remote job. That's well and good. But if the disadvantages that I mentioned are like more important for you, then probably the in-person job, the office job is a better way. Also, another advantage is that you will get a lot of people around you, I mean the like-minded people around you if you go to the office, your colleagues, and if you attend different conference or the events, you get to know the like-minded people. So the networking is very important in your early life. If you miss the networking, then if you don't have network, then it's not very good for your career also, because the people from your network will eventually help you in your career, by referral or just by helping you in different things in your life. So networking is also important, and what I feel like in remote job, networking, being the part of different networking events and networking with like-minded people is a bit difficult. But for office job, if you are just staying in Bangalore or Delhi, Mumbai, those cities, then networking is just a pretty good thing you can do. You can participate in. So yeah, that those are like advantages and disadvantages of the remote jobs.
Okay, so on one end we have the remote jobs, and on the other end we have the on-site job and the office job. So what do you think an individual who is having a remote job misses out about on-site job, and what do you think an on-site job worker misses out about the remote job?
As I mentioned, the most important thing, I feel like those networking thing and your peer, because when I was in college, I had my batchmates, my peer group, and I was deeply interested in open source, software engineering, those things, building good projects, participating in hackathons. But when I started doing full-time remote job after my college, I there was like no one with me. I was just in my room, just working with my laptop. So eventually, I don't know what happened, but I kind of started losing the interest in software engineering and open source in general. Because if you don't see people around you doing good things, you won't do good things by you. So that's the point, and that's why I think like having good people around is very important. A good peer group who are like who have the same interest as you, and for the office jobs also it's pretty hard to get the leaves, so you don't end up traveling a lot. Maybe you are stuck in Bangalore for 2 months and you are not getting any leave, and you have dreams of going to the mountains and work from there. But if you have a remote job, then that's possible. But if you have an office job, then I mean that's practically not possible because you have to go to the office, not in the mountains. So yeah.
After GSoC and open source, how has your journey evolved? Did it open more career opportunities for you?
Yeah, exactly. As I mentioned, if you participate in open source, you end up networking with different developers around the world. So I met with like multiple good people from the world, good mentors who helped me later on in my career by giving me a referral to a different company when I needed. So yeah, if you're participating in networking events, open source, like collaborative events, you meet with new people, you get help from them. So those things helping in your career, definitely. So again, as I said, just try to be, just network with multiple people, good people, so that you can have them around you when you need them. So open source is a very good, just initiative or the way to network with good developers or network with good people.
And now, that's a personal question. Okay? So, we have seen many students who get into jobs very early in this stage, maybe say in year 3rd year, and they sort of neglect their academics. Okay, and from what we have seen as for individuals, placement, jobs, academics, these are not correlated fields as such because it's different. If you focus on academics, you go in one direction. If you go in academics, you go in one direction. If you go in, for example, the work area, you go in another direction. Okay. So, do you really think that balance is required in both academics and jobs, or do you think we focus on one and forget the other?
No, I mean it's pretty important to balance everything in your life. So just try a lot of things, but try to keep the balance of those things in your life so that you don't end up missing things a lot. If you just neglect academics and do a lot of things, academics is also pretty important. So people nowadays think like I'll just drop out from the college and do those things, but the degree is also important. The education qualification. So if you apply for different things, you need to submit the education qualification. You just think if it will look good if you just submit that I am at 12th class. So don't push the dropout, those things very strongly, and try to focus on different things, but once again try to balance the different things. Maybe follow your passion. If you are good in singing, try singing, try photographing, those things, but also just keep going with your academics, find a good job, because the job will eventually pay for the food and for the rent, and you need money for that. So following your passion is good, but also you need something from where you get the money. So you should focus on academics also.
And considering the current market scenario, does one student has to be exceptionally good in academics or just average enough to get a proper job? It can be anything, remote job or on-site job.
Okay, so current job scenario is kind of that after the AI tools, AI coding tools and other AI features have come. So after that, the job market has changed. the roles and responsibilities of the software engineers has changed. Because previously it was like you have to figure out everything, you have to write line by line code by yourself. But after coming to the AI tools, people are doing like vibe coding. If you know about vibe coding, it's like you just give the prompts to the AI tools, AI code editors, and AI LLMs will basically help you to write the code. So the roles and responsibilities have changed. So you need to just cope up with those new things, and you need to learn the new technologies in order to get the job in this kind of scenario. The job market has also sort of reduced, I feel. So there are nowadays less jobs related to software engineers, what we have seen before the revolution of AI tools. So you have to be like, you have to learn new technologies and you have to be good in your domain. So those are like important things if you want to get a good job.
Thank you, Mr. Sikdar. That was an aspiring roadmap for every aspiring contributor.
Ladies and gentlemen, let's give a big round of applause for the speaker, Mr. Niloy Sikdar.